Rina, Haley says she'll fight on, but she just lost a major donor. Americans for Prosperity, a group backed by the Koch brothers, saying in an email, quote, given the challenges in the primary states ahead, we don't believe any outside group can make a material difference to widen her path to victory. So what does this mean for Nikki Haley's campaign? Does she have the money to keep going?
She definitely has some money in the coffers to see this race through Super Tuesday. And that's simply put just the name of the game right now. And she understands, her team knows that it becomes mathematically impossible after Super Tuesday for her to clinch enough delegates to essentially topple Trump. But look, I mean, as it's been said many times over, inside the Beltway and outside, she may be hanging around for other reasons. The bigger issue is, though, is Trump running out of money. What I'm seeing right now here is a real fear within Trump world of how he also manages to keep his coffers full. Haley will still get the Mid-Atlantic power brokers, corporate donors looking at her favorably because she is the only thing that stands between Trump and the White House. And look, they also see her as somebody who is very practical and has a good opportunity to topple any Democrat when it comes to the general election. So I say don't count her out yet, because Trump is not yet the presumptive nominee. He has not picked up enough delegates. This is an unusual moment in which what we're seeing right now is that tension of money within Trump world and within the RNC as well. So Nikki Haley does have a couple openings that are unconventional in nature. And also, let's not forget, there is an appetite out there for her that we have not yet seen the empirical evidence for. And I do believe we'll see a bit more of that on Super Tuesday.
Well, Vaughn, Haley does say she raised $1 million in South Carolina, even though she lost by double digits there. I'm wondering what Trump's strategy is now moving forward.
Right. We got to give Allie credit for driving an American-made Jeep there throughout Michigan. I should note that. But for Donald Trump, it's notable on Saturday night in South Carolina during his victory speech, he didn't mention Nikki Haley by name once, or the fact that he even had a Republican opponent at this point, instead focusing his attention on Joe Biden and the Democrats. Now, could we expect him to not mention the name Nikki Haley for very long? Probably not, knowing his history here. But, you know, when we're talking about his financing, he only raised $8 million. His campaign did in January, a month in which he won the Iowa caucus and the New Hampshire primary. Usually you should have pretty good fundraising hauls coming out of this here. But for him and his allies, there is a coalescing among the Republican Party that continues. Even the number 2 Senate Republican, John Thune, just backing him last night. I want to let you hear my question to Lindsey Graham, though, the fellow South Carolinian, and to Nikki Haley about his message to the former governor. Take a listen. What is your message to fellow South Carolinian Nikki Haley after tonight?
We admire you, we like you, but it's time to unify. We're proud of you. It's now time to unify.
And when we're talking about money, the Republicans want to unify, because right now the DNC and Joe Biden are out fundraising them by millions of dollars, not only the actual campaigns, but also the super PACs. And so being able to move on from this Republican primary is key for anybody that wants Donald Trump back in the White House in November.
We know Trump has tried to use his legal woes as a campaign boost, as a fundraising boost. And here he is this weekend, now in a new controversy because of some comments he made about his legal woes connecting with black voters. Take a listen.
And I got indicted a second time, and a third time, and a fourth time. And a lot of people said that that's why the black people like me, because they have been hurt so badly and discriminated against. And they actually viewed me as I'm being discriminated against. I'm being indicted for you, the American people. I'm being indicted for you, the black population. I am being indicted for a lot of different groups.
Basil, what's your reaction to that?
There are a lot of choice words that I have for him right now that I won't use on air, but what an idiot. To actually make that kind of comparison when he is the same individual that put an ad in the paper condemning 5 young black men to death. So he's not doing this for me. He's not doing this for anybody that considers, well, for any black person, because I know how much disdain he has for communities of color and for poor people. So let's put that on the table. But that said, I do think that he has use this opportunity to raise money for himself. I understand and take Rina's point that I do wonder where his own money is going to come from in terms of fundraising, because he's pushed so much of that towards his legal defense. And if I'm a Republican strategist, one of the things that I would be considering right now is, with all of the anger on this Alabama decision regarding in vitro fertilization, that's really going to hurt Senate and congressional candidates across the country. So if I'm the RNC, I'm saying, look, and even the Koch brothers network, I'm saying, look, we've got to start looking at some of these down ballot races if the president is using the RNC as his own coffer, because I doubt he's thinking about the rest of the ticket. So yeah, I think it's a really interesting sort of move going forward. Really interesting to pay attention to sort of his money moves going forward. But with respect to what he's doing to black voters, you can miss me with that.
Let's talk more about this shakeup at the RNC and the changes coming. We had this announcement this morning from RNC Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel. What do we know?
Right. Ronna McDaniel said that she's going to step aside when the RNC's 168-member body convenes in Houston, Texas on March 7th and 8th. And Donald Trump has already made it clear that he wants Michael Whatley from North Carolina to take her place, and that he wants his daughter-in-law, Laura Trump, to be the number 2 at the RNC in the capacity of co-chair. Now, it's not just Donald Trump's decision. Let's be clear. This is going to come to a vote among the 168 members, but also notably this morning, that number 2, the current number 2, Drew McKissick, the co-chair, he also announced his resignation. He was openly looking at challenging Michael Whatley for the RNC chair position, despite Donald Trump's wishes. However, at the same time, there are a lot of question marks about whether the RNC would provide legal funds for Donald Trump, and also whether they would team up with Donald Trump prematurely before Nikki Haley even drops out. There's another resolution, and one RNC member told me there's a lot of water still to go underneath the bridge before anything is finalized come Houston that first week of March.
Right. And during the election season, this is a big shakeup. What do you think this means as far as where the RNC is headed now, Rina?
Well, oh my gosh, there's so much I can say here, because I was an elected delegate to the Republican National Convention in 2016. So I've been inside the belly of the beast. And let me tell you, it was ugly back then, before Trump was even the presumptive nominee. You've got Trump loyalists who want to do this former president's bidding. And look, her resignation, Ronna McDaniel, she teased it earlier this month, but it's still surprising that she would go, because this is a great job to have. She was just a regular woman in politics in Michigan one day, and then she got the vanity and all the glamour of this job. And there's no other reason that Trump would push his own people to be in the top positions at the RNC, except for that Trump world needs money. So this tells you Ronna McDaniel is not okay with Trump world using the RNC as a bank. And that's a big reason that she is leaving. She'd rather resign than be pushed out. I mean, last summer, she sat with me and a group of young moderate Republicans in a private setting and talked to us about how the RNC is a turnout operation. They don't tell candidates what to do. She expressed frustration to me personally by how many Republican candidates have fudged the messaging on abortion, how we need to be better about it. I myself am anti-abortion for myself, but pro-choice for other women. That's a position she was glad to hear from me, and said there's room in this party for people like me who did not support the former president. So look, I'll just say this, her leadership did not have any positive impact on the RNC infrastructure. But then again, she was always fighting an uphill battle against Trump and his sort of cultish ilk. So it's a tough thing to see that she's out, but now Trump gets to remake the RNC fully in his image.